really find this character to be different from characters I've played before. She is very free. Obviously, she's hiding things and containing things like every human being does. She has secrets, but she's free. She like really is expressive. She laughs. She's got her own traumas, but they aren't like overwhelming. And almost every character I've played for the last little while has been very like contained and deals with their lives in a way that they kind of turn inward and get swallowed inside of themselves. And she's the opposite. And I just thought it'd be so fun for me to be able to just play someone who was more open. And that was what really interested me.
Hi, Kristin. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing so well. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me this morning.
Thank you.
You know, full disclosure, big fan. Obviously, Smallville was a huge show for me. I bombarded my family with that. So it's great to be talking to you about this. And I promise I'll save those questions for later on. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, whatever. Yeah.
We'll backload those. I just love to know for yourself, throughout your career, you've played characters who believe in justice, have a strong moral and professional obligation to justice. So how close to the heart is that for you in real life?
Oh, that's a good question. And no one has ever asked me that. Well, that's interesting. I mean, each of these characters I've played has a different understanding of justice, a different understanding of what that means. Like the last character I played, Joanna, for instance, was a lawyer. So her experience of justice was very much tied to the legal system, tied to how she needed to, well, and in some ways her sense of justice grew as the seasons went on, but she really was just bound to like, how do I use the law to get what I want, at least in the beginning.
Right.
And then it was, how do I use the law to find some sort of compensation or meaningful recompense for people who've gone through pain. Whereas the character I play now, Cassandra, who is a librarian, looks at justice entirely differently. She's looking at it through the lens of she has a very upstream lens. So she's looking at things like how are there failures within our society, and what are the causal factors of those things, and how do I address it from that vantage point, as opposed to working on it from the downstream level, which is what what Joanna was doing. So I guess when it relates to me, I think that it's something, since I don't work in these fields, I guess I'm an artist or a craftsperson at the very least, a storyteller. I'm looking at it more from a human perspective than from a legal perspective. And I think that what is just is sometimes gray, or at the very least, very nuanced. And I don't have an easy answer for that. But yes, I am concerned with it. I just don't know. I have no ideology that is easily encompassable.
No, I totally get that. And I think that's what's really fascinating in seeing that through the different characters that you've played, and seeing that in this show too. Because even, your first meeting, Cassandra's first meeting with Karl, is so fun and it's so lighthearted, but it definitely shifts when she finds out his line of work. So I was just curious for yourself, what was it like, figuring out who your character was and figure out that dynamic with Rossif as well in that first scene, meeting each other?
Yeah, we had so much fun shooting that scene. It was the first scene that we shot for the whole show. And it was the first, we had obviously acted together apart from, audition scenes and then reading scenes and in read-throughs. But that whole thing was an incredible way to discover character, because we just played, and Mylan, our director, was very adamant that we not get tied into continuity or things which is weird, because I'm very much used to being precise as an actor. Like, I put my hand here on this line, and having done TV for so long, I just kind of lock in on putting my hand here on that line. And he was like, don't, just play. And so we were able to really move through the scene and find our characters in that moment, and discovering just how hard it is for Cassandra when she hears that he's a cop. And not only is he a cop, he's the chief of police. And I think that kind of heart-sinking moment for her is very real. And that is her conflict for kind of the whole season, which is I really, this man is incredible, and he's a special man, and I'm drawn to him, and I feel like I can be myself with him. And also his job is just so counter to what I I in some ways believe in, focus on. So yes, finding the characters and their dynamics and conflicts in that first scene was a joy. And we were so lucky to be able to do those scenes first, because that relationship, I mean, for me, it's kind of the central part of the show, but for the show itself, it's kind of the heartbeat of the show.
No, it is. And that's what was so fun about watching that first episode. And it's a longer first episode too. So
Yeah.
you really get to learn a lot about their dynamics, and it makes me really excited to continue watching this.
Oh, good.
Yeah, no, I'm curious for yourself, when you first got the script. I know it's based off of the L.R. Wright book, and congrats, I know you're doing the voice as well on the audiobook, which is amazing. So you get to live with this character in very different ways.
Yeah.
What was it about Cassandra for you that when you first read the script, you're like, I want to be part of this, I want to explore this character?
It's a good question. I mean, it was interesting. I'm going to answer this in a slightly roundabout way, but I knew Kim and Tina, who are producers at Sepia Films. I've known them for a long time. I did a movie for Tina, gosh, so long ago, a movie called Partition. And I also knew Ian Weir from Edgemont. So he had written the first show that I ever did. And so there was a circularity to it that I kind of liked the idea of. And I like working with people that I know I like. It makes life easier. So that was kind of why I initially looked at the project, because Tina and Kim brought it to me in, I think, 2021. And it came back around in 2023 when they asked me to read for the role. And the reason I ultimately did is because I really find this character to be different from characters I've played before. She is very free. Obviously, she's hiding things and containing things like every human being does. She has secrets, but she's free. She really is expressive. She laughs. She's got her own traumas, but they aren't overwhelming. And almost every character I've played for the last little while has been very contained and deals with their lives in a way that they kind of turn inward and get swallowed inside of themselves. And she's the opposite. And I just thought it'd be so fun for me to be able to just play someone who was more open. And that was what really interested me.
Yeah, I love that. And also it's just gorgeous where you guys were shooting this. And it's always lovely to see Canada playing itself in productions, because it doesn't always happen all the time.
No.
So what was it like for you, shooting Sunshine Coast? It's just a beautiful place to be.
It's beautiful. I mean, I'm a West Coast girl. It's where I'm from. It's where I live. And I love the Pacific Northwest. I love the rain and the mist and the conifers and the ocean and the brininess of it. I love all of that. And so we started shooting in early February when it's still quite wintry, It's called the Sunshine Coast, but yeah, in the summer it's the Sunshine Coast. The rest of the year it's the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of mist and rain. I don't know that Fox was fully prepared for that, but it's a joy to go to work and look out and see the mountains, or be out on a beach, or, and I got to live right in a little house on the beach, and I called it my vacation job. It was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. And I hope, I haven't seen all the episodes. I've only seen the first episode, but I hope it comes across on screen that beauty translates onto this little camera.
No, it does. It truly is gorgeous. So I'm really excited for everyone to dive into it, because I think especially the season we're going into, I'm it's a very cozy show.
Yes, it's a cozy show. Yeah,
a cozy show. So I think people are going to really fall for it. You mentioned different jobs and different roles that you've had throughout your career too. I'm curious, what's your standard? How's your standard for choosing roles changed and evolved over the years?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm lucky, and I have the privilege of being able to say no to work, and not a lot of actors have that privilege. So that is a big part of what's changed, is that I can select. But I think what I said before is part of it, is who am I working with? I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours and days of my life with these people. I don't want to be in conflict. And I've had those experiences where I'm in conflict and I feel stress and keeps me up at night. And I just don't want to do that. So I want to know what the head writer's like. I want to know what the director's like. I want to know what the producers are like. I want to be able to feel safe to speak my mind, speak my opinion, and not be belittled, or, all the things that have happened in my career. And also I'm often cast in love and like with a love interest. Like I'm normally paired. There's normally a love story in whatever show I'm doing. Not all of them, but a lot of them. So I want to know that the man that I'm working with, because it's normally a man, is lovely and that we'll get along and that it'll be easy. And so those are the things I'm looking for, is relational things more than anything else. Yeah.
That's lovely. Now I have to connect back to Small, just because that was my big show for me growing up. I'm just curious, it's amazing seeing Tom and Michael talking about that show every single week, and I know you've jumped on Talkville a bunch of times too.
Yeah.
How has your relationship with that show changed as more people have gone back to it, rediscovered it, or just watching it for the first time? What's been so amazing about that for you?
Yeah, I was talking about the set. We did a SAG panel when we screened the show over at SAG in LA, and what's really shifted for me is, like I said before, that I had a complex relationship with Smallville, especially in the beginning. I was really young. I didn't know how to speak my mind. I was really shy, really reserved. I had no experience. And so there was like a lot of complexity to how I dealt with that show and a lot of fear around the success of it. And so doing these conventions has helped me redefine my relationship to the show through the eyes of people whose lives it impacted in positive ways. Because so many people, for a lot of people, it's their comfort show. It's the show that they watched with their families. It's a show that they have ties to, parents who may no longer be around, or siblings, or whatever it is. And so I get to have I get to get pulled out of myself and see it from outside of myself and accept the show kind of in a broader, more holistic sense. And that's been joy for me to redefine my relationship to it and understand that, yes, I have my experience, but my experience is like one tiny little piece of this whole puzzle of Smallville.
Yeah. And I've been so happy to hear you speak so openly about that too. And even just Tom and Michael and everyone speaking so openly about their experiences on it too, because it was a huge show, and the time when it came out, and also just being thrusted upon the world with like this massive show being the massive success that it was. But I think to this day, it is like that bar for, I think, so many other shows and so many other, not just within superheroes, but within dramas, like what people I think look to is like, that's like, there's not a lot of shows that feel like that anymore, which is always nice when you go back to it. Like, wow, this feels so like, it feels of its time, but it also feels timeless.
Yes, I know what you mean. Yeah. And it's also shows then in Smallville, I feel like there was a real earnestness to it that we kind of don't have as much anymore. I think it's starting to come back, this earnestness, but like being earnest, like being cynical became the way to be. And Smallville was never that. It was never that. And I think that's part of why it's been so lasting, is that people felt comfortable seeing love, like all the emotions felt real and felt pure, and I just don't see that as much anymore.
Yeah, it's funny, like when you mentioned like this, the earnest of it, like even just like Clark in every scene when Lana shows up, it doesn't even like say hi, it's just like Lana, and like that's something my dad and I always just die of laughter at. But it's also just he's always just so awestruck when you come into his scene, which is so funny watching it, of how often it happens, but it's just amazing every time.
Yes.
Kristin, I'm so grateful for your time. I really hope we get to talk again, and just congratulations on the show, and hopefully we can talk soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.